Imagine a world so vast and wild that a single man could shape the forests with every swing of his mighty axe. Picture towering pine trees, rivers winding like silver ribbons, and the morning mist rolling over endless landscapes. Now imagine a man so enormous, so strong, and so kind-hearted that he became a legend, whispered in hushed admiration across small towns and campfires alike. This is the story of Paul Bunyan, the giant lumberjack whose adventures carved the very land of America, leaving trails of rivers, mountains, and awe behind him. Long ago, when the forests of North America stretched wider than the eye could see, there was no one like Paul. Born under a sky heavy with clouds and mystery, he grew larger and stronger with each passing day. From the moment he could walk, his tiny footsteps shook the earth, and by the time he was a boy, even grown men needed 2 hands just to shake his. But despite his incredible size and strength, Paul was gentle, thoughtful, and loved the forests as much as he loved his work. Paul was not alone in his feats. At his side was Babe, a blue ox as grand and powerful as the lumberjack himself. Together, they became a team unlike any other, roaming the wilderness, clearing forests, and shaping the land with effortless precision. Babe, with her calm eyes and steady strength, was more than a companion. She was a friend, a partner in every adventure, and a silent witness to Paul's heroic deeds. One crisp morning, as sunlight spilled across the pine needles like golden dust, Paul and Babe set out on a journey that would become one of the greatest tales of the wilderness. The villagers had asked for help clearing a vast section of forest to make way for new homes and fields. But these were no ordinary trees. These were ancient giants, rooted deep, with trunks so thick that a dozen men with axes would struggle to fell a single one. Paul, with a smile as wide as the horizon, lifted his axe, and with a single swing, a tree that would have taken weeks to cut down fell in moments, leaving a gentle echo through the valley. As Paul worked, the earth seemed to respond to his presence. Streams found new paths, valleys widened, and hills formed under the sheer weight of his footsteps. It is said that the Great Lakes themselves were shaped by Paul's morning stretches, and that mountains rose where he paused to admire the view. Villagers told stories of how one afternoon, when Paul tripped over a root larger than a house, the root carved the Grand Canyon in the fall. The forests flourished, wildlife thrived, and everywhere Paul went, the land became livelier, as if the world itself celebrated his presence. Paul Bunyan was not just a lumberjack, he was a storyteller of the land. Around campfires, he would entertain fellow lumberjacks with tales so grand they seemed impossible, yet carried the warmth of truth. He spoke of winters so cold that rivers froze solid, only to be broken into waterways by the swing of his axe. He spoke of storms so fierce that even the trees trembled, yet he would calm the forest with steady hands and a calm voice. And through all his stories, Babe the blue ox stood faithfully, a living monument to loyalty, courage, and the quiet strength of friendship. One tale, often whispered among those who knew him, told of a time when a winter so harsh covered the land that not a single seed could grow, and the rivers froze from end to end. Villagers feared famine, for they could not plant crops or gather food. Paul, seeing the struggle, lifted Babe onto the ice, and with careful determination plowed rivers and dug canals, creating pathways where water could flow and crops could grow. By spring, the land was fertile again, animals returned, and the villagers celebrated not just Paul's strength, but his kindness and vision. Many wonder about the size of Paul's adventures. Some say that he cleared forests that stretched for miles in a single day, leaving trails where settlements and towns would later rise. Others claim he dug valleys and lakes with the sweep of his mighty arms. Yet what makes Paul Bunyan's story enduring is not just the exaggeration of his feats, but the spirit behind them. The idea that even the largest challenges can be met with determination, courage, and care. Life in the wilderness was not always easy. There were storms, harsh winters, and forests so dense that even Paul's immense strength struggled to pass. but every challenge became a story, every difficulty a lesson. One evening, after a long day of felling trees and clearing paths, Paul and Babe rested atop a hill overlooking a valley painted in sunset hues. The wind whispered through the pine trees, and Paul looked over the land he had shaped. In that quiet moment, he felt a deep connection with the earth, the rhythm of the forests, the movement of the streams, and the lives of the people who depended on it. Even as his legend grew, Paul remained humble. He understood that strength was a gift to be used wisely, not a tool for pride. He taught younger lumberjacks the value of patience, respect for nature, and the joy found in simple, steady work. With each swing of his axe, he demonstrated that true power comes from dedication and compassion, and greatness is measured not just in feats, but in the lives we touch along the way. Paul's adventures were not confined to work alone. There were playful stories too. How he and Babe would race across valleys, the blue ox leaping over rivers and rolling in the meadows. Villagers recounted evenings when the pair would play hide-and-seek among mountains, leaving trails that became roads and footprints so large that children would try to follow them just for fun. These moments, light-hearted yet immense, added warmth and joy to the legend, reminding all who listened that even giants could find happiness in the small things. Over time, Paul Bunyan became more than a man. He became a symbol of possibility. He represented the power to shape the world, the courage to face insurmountable challenges, and the kindness to care for others along the way. In classrooms and bedtime stories, children still hear about the blue ox who carried supplies across frozen rivers, about the man who could fell forests with a single swing, and about the quiet moments when a giant paused to appreciate the beauty around him. These stories, while larger than life, remind us of the enduring lessons of hard work, friendship, and respect for the land. Perhaps the most enchanting part of Paul Bunyan's legend is how it continues to inspire. Even now, when you wander through forests, hike along rivers, or gaze at mountains stretching to the horizon, you can imagine the echoes of his steps, the sweep of his axe, and the calm presence of Babe at his side. In every log cabin, every campfire, and every whispered tale in small towns, Paul Bunyan lives on, not just as a figure of folklore, but as a timeless reminder that greatness comes from heart, courage, and the quiet, steady work that shapes the world. As night falls, picture yourself walking through those forests, the cool breeze brushing your face, and hear the soft rustle of leaves as if Paul himself has just passed by. Feel the calm and strength that his story brings, the gentle inspiration that even the largest of obstacles can be faced with patience, care, and determination. Let the thought of Babe's blue coat against the snowy fields, Paul's steady hands, and the vast wilderness settle your mind and carry you into peaceful dreams filled with adventure, wonder, and quiet courage. And as you drift further into sleep, know that the forests, rivers, and valleys of America are not only shaped by giants of legend, but by the steady hands and caring hearts of all those who follow their example. Paul Bunyan's story reminds us that even the simplest acts, when done with strength, kindness, and purpose, can leave a mark that lasts for generations. So rest now. Let the story of the giant lumberjack and his loyal blue ox carry you into a gentle, untroubled slumber. The world may be vast and full of challenges, but with courage, heart, and steady effort, anything is possible. Sleep peacefully and let the whispers of Paul Bunyan's forests guide you into dreams of adventure, wonder, and quiet courage.